Senior xenobiologist Kixlar trembled as she uploaded her final report to the Galactic Council's encrypted servers. Her 3 eye stalks refused to focus properly, a symptom of the chronic stress she'd endured during her 6-month observation of species 7842H, colloquially known as humans. The report's title alone had caused an uproar among her colleagues. Critical Threat Assessment, Immediate Quarantine Protocols. Recommended for Sol 3 indigenous sapients. But Kixlar knew the informal version circulating through the research station was more accurate. Holy shit, don't let the humans out. It had started innocuously enough. Humans appeared to be a typical Class 4 civilization. Nuclear capability, primitive spaceflight, fractured political systems. Nothing the galaxy hadn't seen 1,000 times before. Most species at this stage either unified and joined the galactic community, or destroyed themselves within a few centuries. The Council had placed humanity under standard observation protocols, expecting either outcome. Kixlar had drawn the short straw for lead researcher. The first anomaly appeared during routine physical assessments. Human endurance capabilities defied all established xenobiological models. Where most sapient species could sprint for brief periods before requiring extended recovery, humans could simply keep going. Their persistence hunting methodology, literally chasing prey until it collapsed from exhaustion, seemed barbaric to Kixlar's people, who had evolved as ambush predators. They don't stop, she had noted in her log, watching footage of human marathon runners. Even when their bodies are damaged, even when logic dictates retreat, they continue forward. This is not normal prey behavior. This is not normal predator behavior. I'm not certain what this is. The second anomaly was worse: human pattern recognition and problem-solving under pressure. Kixlar had reviewed thousands of hours of what humans called disasters, situations where everything went catastrophically wrong. Ship sinking, humans engineered solutions with whatever materials were available. Spacecraft damaged in the void, they invented repairs using duct tape and prayer. The Apollo 13 incident had given Kixlar nightmares for weeks. The humans had suffered a catastrophic explosion in deep space, with crippled systems and dwindling oxygen, and instead of accepting death with dignity as any civilized species would, they had improvised. They had turned their lunar module into a lifeboat, rationed resources down to the final breath, performed calculations by hand, and somehow guided their dying craft back to their homeworld. Impossible solutions to impossible problems, Kixlar had written. They view the word impossible not as a limitation but as a challenge. But the third anomaly was what had driven Kixlar to recommend immediate quarantine. Humans packed bonded with anything. The footage had started innocuously. Humans keeping small animals as companions. This wasn't unusual. Several species maintained symbiotic relationships with other creatures, but humans didn't stop at compatible species. They bonded with their predators. They bonded with creatures that could kill them. They domesticated wolves into dogs, kept large felines as pets, and somehow convinced themselves that apex predators were good boys who deserved treats. Then Kixlar had discovered the internet. The humans had built a global communication network, and instead of using it purely for vital information exchange, they had filled it with pictures of animals. Trillions of images, videos of humans rescuing creatures from floods, fires, and ice. Humans adopting damaged or abandoned animals. Humans crying over the deaths of organisms that weren't even their own species. One video had broken Kixlar completely. A human had rescued a tiny arachnid from drowning, gently drying it with a cloth and releasing it safely. Arachnids, the same creatures most humans claim to fear. And yet this human's instinct was to preserve its life. They pack bond with everything. Kixlar had reported to her superiors, her voice cracking. Predators, prey, even robots and inanimate objects. They form emotional attachments to cleaning devices. They name their vehicles. They apologize to furniture when they bump into it. This species doesn't just lack normal self-preservation instincts. They extend their tribal bonding mechanisms to literally anything they encounter. The implications were terrifying. The galaxy had seen aggressive species before. The Kravath Dominion had conquered 17 systems through military might before being contained. The Zix Collective had assimilated dozens of civilizations into their hive mind. These were known threats with predictable patterns. But humans? Humans were something else entirely. Imagine, Kixelar had written in her conclusion. A species that can outlast any opponent, that treats impossible obstacles as mere puzzles, and that will pack bond with any alien they encounter. Now imagine that species gaining faster than light travel. She had run simulations. In every scenario where humans joined the galactic community, the same pattern emerged. Within 3 generations, human cultural influence would dominate. Not through conquest or forced assimilation, but through sheer friendship. Humans would adopt alien pets. They would learn alien languages to understand alien jokes. They would cry at alien sad stories and celebrate alien holidays. They would pack bond with species that had been mortal enemies for millennia, and somehow convince them to reconcile over something humans called beer and barbecue. The galaxy wasn't ready for weapons that could think creatively under pressure, endure any hardship, and viewed every alien species as a potential friend rather than a threat. Kixelar's recommendation was clear: maintain the quarantine. Prevent human FTL development through subtle technological misdirection. Keep them confined to their single star system indefinitely. Not because humans were dangerous in the traditional sense, but because once humanity joined the galactic community, nothing would ever be the same again. The Council would convene next cycle to review her findings. Kixelar knew many would dismiss her concerns as paranoia. They would see a primitive species confined to one small world and scoff at the notion of any threat. But Kixelar had watched humans transform their entire world in mere centuries. She had seen them split the atom, walk on their moon, and build machines that could think. She had watched them rescue animals from burning buildings and weep over fictional characters. And she was absolutely certain of one thing: if humanity ever reached the stars, they would befriend the galaxy whether the galaxy wanted it or not. The thought terrified her more than any weapon ever could.